Who is ready for some awesome lightning talks? Woo! I'm so jazzed. Today has been really amazing. I learned a crap ton in all of these amazing workshops and sessions. So thank you very much for all of you for hanging out till the end of the day and joining us for all these amazing lightning talks. So we have 5 lightning talks for you tonight. I will give each of them 6 minutes. I told you 5. I'm giving you an extra minute. And I'm going to kick you off stage, sort of. I'm going to be nice about it. But after each lightning talk, you guys will have the opportunity to ask questions. So we'll take 1 or 2 questions so we can keep things moving quickly. And the lightning talks for today are Mateo from DFM is going to talk about how DFM uses WordPress. Tom from Alley Interactive is going to talk about Voice WP or Alexa tools for publishers. Douglas from Sourcefabric is going to talk about Newsroom workflows and techniques. Brad from Boston Globe is going to talk about reducing time to publish. And then Ben from INN is going to introduce us to some really cool publisher plugins. All right, are you guys ready? All right, okay. So Mateo, here you go.
All right, thanks everybody for coming. And at DFM here, we want to thank you all for being here, and we're glad we could donate the space. Throw my little pitch in here, right? Is my boss here somewhere? But it's pretty, everybody's been so cool. This has really been neat to see everybody here. So I'm going to try to describe 2 years of WordPress in 6 minutes somehow. So like a lot of publishers, we started off with an idea and a need to replace legacy, antiquated publishing systems that we've been using for years and years. 12-year-old system, this system, proprietary system, across like 3, 5, 6 different systems all the time. How do we do this in a more efficient manner and be able to control everything from a standardized perspective? So we chose to work with WordPress just so we've got an admin out of the way, right? We're not building something from the ground up. We have open source. We have lots of development talent out there. You're not training somebody, finding this like Java guy who only knows how to do this one thing. So off we go. So how do we get there quick? We partnered with our friends Brad from Alley Interactive here, who were great, got us rolling, and used them to sort of springboard into something we hadn't done before. We had people with some experience in WordPress, but not quite at that high, like huge site level. So we started to work and slowly started acquiring talent in-house and leading up to our first launch, which was twincities.com in about 1.5 years ago. And then what we've been doing since then is just rolling out site after site after site. We're up to 7 sites now. We're launching 3 more sites on Tuesday. Actually, some of my guys here now are actually working on a site that's going to go live in a few days, which is scary. So as we're doing that, we start uncovering, like, let's see, how should I put this? We start uncovering issues, right? Not issues, but like now that you've got this stuff in the wild, you start nuancing it. So a WordPress site by itself is pretty simple, right? Now we have 7 sites, and they start coming to you with ideas like, well, we need to share content from site A to site B only on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock, and we need to tag it XYZ, but only Z on this one. So like it starts turning into this big, massive ball. So what we did, and this is how I do this. I can't do slides. All right, so we have, these are sites. And we built these sort of headless sites that I'll call, we call this a content hub. And imagine these as site.com.com.com. So every time a site publishes a piece of content, this content goes down into this hub and collects. And these sites, everybody has a view. So like when you have your article view inside WordPress, they have another view called Content Hub View. And they can browse this content. and as they're browsing it, say, I want this piece of content, and it'll pick it up and pull it into their site now. And they can do a couple different ways they can handle that. One way is they can subscribe the piece of content here. So it's like on autopilot. It'll just keep updating. Anytime this originating site makes a change, it'll show up downstream. Or they can copy it and sort of take ownership of it. That's a popular thing where they want to localize something that maybe was a more national thing. It has a local hook. They want to attach to that. We do exactly the same thing. This WH means Wire Hub. So we have like AP services, Washington Post, various places like anything syndicated like that. And the same thing goes article type view, subscribe, or take ownership of that content. So that's all driven by the REST API. It was a big project. Jared, I don't think Jared is around, is he? But Jared Cobb worked on that a lot. So then what comes after that? So like that, this is great, but what happens is we keep adding more and more and more sites into this ecosystem. It's becoming more complicated for us. So we need to start where we're going next is what I guess I want to get to. So after this, hold on. All right. So we had this idea for another system. And I don't know how we came up with the name. Okay. So real-time, universal, syndication, and I think H has been changed to Hyperloop due to recent. Okay. So now what we're working on, and I'm sure you've probably heard by now if Jason's around about WP GraphQL. So what we've come to the conclusion through all this now is because people want to manage content on more than one site, is we need a centralized dashboard. Like, because we work in clusters, so you have a site that manages 9 different papers, and let's be fair, we know that newsrooms are only getting smaller, unfortunately, and people are being asked to do more. We're no exception. We need to give tools to people to be able to do all this work. So now you have a dash, and I'm a user, and I can create an article, and I can create this article in this dash, send it through the runner to this site. What does that mean? Okay. And basically controls similar to how Calypso works, but extremely nuanced to what we need to do, because we have a lot of like canonical rules for SEO, all that kind of jazz. So now we're never putting the content, or I guess we're controlling the content from one place, like as a source of truth, but through this dashboard. So people are actually never even in the WordPress interface, and they'll be managing this content. So this is all still pretty prototype type phase right now. We're not anywhere near ready to launch this, but that's where we're at with that. Close enough? All right.
All right. So right now we'll take, let's say, 2 questions, and Bo is going to help me run the mic.
Who's got a question? What are you using to build out the dashboard? What's it composed of?
Oh, React, right? Yeah. Look, I come in every day, and these guys are like, "Oh, I'm going to use this today." So like, but no, it's all React based, right? For sure.
Do you think this is going to be a net gain of fake news, or reduce fake news? Is there going to be more or less fake news?
More or less fake news?
Yeah, as a result of...
More?
You mean faker news?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Woo! All right. Next up, we have Tom from Alley Interactive, and he's going to talk to you about voice apps. 6 minutes start now.
Hey, she already said my name, so I'll skip that. So, for the last year, I've been working on a WordPress plugin called VoiceWP. And basically what it is it's a way for any WordPress site to create and publish its own Alexa skills. Alexa skills are just the term that Amazon uses for voice apps on their platform. So with this, typically you would go and have a cloud-based server somewhere, a cloud-based system like AWS Lambda, where you're running your code, and you would host it all there, and that is your app. Or it goes and it talks to wherever your content is. But in this plugin, what we've done is we've utilized the WordPress infrastructure that your website already has, so you don't need to go and add any additional stuff. You get to use what you already have, so you save costs there, and you end up with a faster app because you don't have to talk to some middleman in the sky and then to your website. You go right to your website. So with this plugin, you get the WP admin dashboard that you're all used to, and you can go and create, customize, configure what your application is going to do and how it's going to behave. You can use all your existing content, so if you want to make your blog posts, your articles, your news available to anyone with an Alexa device, you can go and use your website as a way to go and push that content out through a voice medium. You can also go and upload MP3 files, etc., if you want to have someone go and read the content out as opposed to having Alexa do text-to-speech on it. Like I said, WordPress infrastructure, no additional hosting costs there. And out of the box, the plugin provides multiple different types of functionality for different types of skills you can create. And it also has like this engine underneath that you can go and use to create your own custom stuff that isn't included with the plugin. So the types of stuff you can do with it, out of the box you get support for flash briefings, which are just like your daily little news dose. Facts and quotes, a simple type of skill where you go and plug in your data and get random stuff back when a user asks for it. Quizzes and trivia, that's pretty self-explanatory. Choose your own adventures are kind of a pretty fun little thing to do. There's a really popular skill called the Wayne investigation. If you have an Echo device, I would check that one out. They did a really good job on a choose your own adventure type story there. And like I said, making your blog content available already, and adding value to your existing like paywalls and subscriptions. Let's say you have paid-only content. You go and you enable the Alexa skill for your website. You sign in with your credentials for like the pro version of your account, and then that user has another way to go and interact with that content that they're already paying for. So people are more likely to go and renew that subscription once that's up. And also whatever else you can think of. So, how many developers do we have in the room? All right, right on. This one's for you. So here's a little demo skill called developer quotes. Basically, I plugged in like 20, 30 lines of different quotes related to computer science, programming, whatever. And when I ask it for one, I get a random one back from an array.
Alexa, developer quote.
The best way to get a project done faster is to start sooner.
Alexa, developer quote.
Inside every large program, there is a small program trying to get out.
Alexa, developer quote.
That's enough. You get the point. So anyway, it's pretty quick, but it's kind of fun. You can go and ask it a bunch of times, get some new stuff back. With the WP admin interface, you can go and add as many as you want over time, keep creating new content so that it doesn't get stale and people continue to use it and get value from it. A little bit of a variation on that functionality is a chatbot that I created. Has anyone seen Guardians of the Galaxy? Cool. So there's a character in there named Groot. He's a big talking tree, but all he says is, "I am Groot." So this is a bot where you get to go and talk to Groot.
Alexa, talk to Groot.
I'm Groot.
I'm Groot.
I am Groot.
Goodbye, Groot.
We are Groot.
So in the movie, a little bit of a spoiler if you didn't see it, when he kind of when he kind of gets in trouble in the end, he says, "We are Groot." So that's the only variation on what he ever says. So when you say goodbye, it says that one. So with that one, it's like the facts and quotes one, but it keeps the session alive so that you can go and keep responding to it as it goes along. And then one that's probably more interesting for everyone here is the functionality where you can go and get like a list of the latest titles that are on your website and then ask it to go and redo a post.
Alexa, what's up with Tom?
This is from my blog.
First, taking back time tracking. Second, hacking a morning routine. Third, creating a productive environment. Sleep. Fourth, Alliversary. Year 1 at Alley Interactive. Fifth, the Woo Themes acquisition through the eyes of a former ninja.
Read the third post.
In the development community, talks about creating productive environments
Alexa,
many times focus on...
Exit.
So you get the point there. She's reading the blog post content. So some of the stuff that we're working on right now and will be starting in the future is adding in support for Google Assistant, Google's version of Alexa. Full support for the Echo Show. The Echo Show is basically the Echo with a touch screen on it. So there's some new things that we can go and add in there, like video capabilities as well as touchscreen interactions and displaying content in new ways. German language support, that's going to roll out in about a week. We're working with a German site with accessibility content and making their website available to all of their users. And some new types of skill templates, like I mentioned, facts and quotes. We're going to be adding in like a quizzes and trivia one and the choose your own adventure stuff pretty soon. I'm done, right? That was my time. Cool. All right. These are a bunch of skills that are utilizing the plugin right now. People is kind of notable because it was one of the first to utilize the video capabilities of the Echo Show and came out the same day as the show. You can check out some of those other ones. If you're looking to get something like this running on your site or you want to contribute, let's talk. It's all available on GitHub at VoiceWP, or you can check out voicewp.com. Yeah, thanks.
All right, does anyone have any questions for Tom?
Yeah, it's running on VIP sites right now. Yeah, People is one of the VIP sites that it's running on.
So I'm not familiar with the process of getting it approved for Alexa. Is there any kind of approval like Apple apps or have to go through approval process?
Yeah, there's a bit of a similar process. So the plugin provides everything that you need to go and copy paste into the Amazon dashboard, and then you can go and fill out some of the information pertaining to your skill, like the name of it and like a custom icon and that kind of stuff. Then you hit submit. It's anywhere from a couple days to up to maybe a 2-week process, but I've never seen it take that long for it to go through the approval steps. Pretty much all the functionality that's in there already exists, has already been used by skills that have been published. So because of that, if you're using stuff that's out of the box, the approval process is usually pretty quick because the code has already gone through the gamut. But like I said, the plugin is kind of an engine as well for building your own custom stuff. So if you're building something new right on top of it, maybe you'll have a round or two of feedback to address any concerns that the certification team has. But you know, that's kind of how it goes when you build anything custom.
All right, next up we have Doug, and he's going to present on Newsroom and WordPress and Newsroom workflow management.
Thank you. My name is Douglas Arellanes, and before I get started, I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to the transcription team. I've heard about this in the past. It has been incredible. Thank you so much. It's been great to see that in action. I'm one of the founders of an organization called Sourcefabric. We are Europe's largest open source organization for newsrooms or for journalists. Founded in 2010, we've got a diverse team and offices in 5 countries: Prague, Berlin, Cluj, Romania, Serbia, Belgrade, Serbia, and Toronto. Our our flagship project is called Superdesk. It's an end-to-end newsroom management system. Sourcefabric is the maintainer of Superdesk, but its development is commissioned and shared by members of our community, which includes a large number of news agencies. What is Superdesk? Well, it's modular and open source, and it currently handles content creation, production, distribution, archiving, and curation. And there's more functionality currently being built, and I'll talk about that in just a second. This is what Superdesk looks like. Workflow includes desks, and you can have as many desks as you like, as many people on each desk as you like, as many workflow stages as you like. This is another view that you can have of the same content. It also manages media, and so it can integrate with digital asset management systems through our APIs. One of the newest projects that we've completed is integration with WordPress through a WordPress plugin. Superdesk is essentially a headless CMS, which focuses on content creation and on workflow, but we leave display to other systems. And so we communicate with those via our APIs. In this way, we think we're getting the best of both worlds. The IPTC is a standards organization, and they produce a lot of different standards, including NewsML G2 and Nin.js. And for the WordPress plugin, what we've done is we've used Nin.js, which is a JSON standard for the representation of news, and it's natively supported in Superdesk, along with NewsML G2. What we did was to create a WordPress plugin that receives JSON, Nin.js, and those Nin.js field names are matched to the field names used by WordPress. And so all of this is then pushed into the WordPress database. It's important to note, though, that this plugin works with any Nin.js source. So if you have something that's producing or outputting Nin.js, you can use this plugin to take it into your WordPress site. This can also be used with multiple sites. A single instance of Superdesk can publish to multiple WordPress sites. All the content is available and editable in WordPress as well. So if you need to go back and work on things on the WordPress side, you can. But what I was really proud of is that Sourcefabric, my organization, is a nonprofit institute, kind of like INN here in the US. And our mission includes a lot of work around media development. And so the first organization to use this WordPress plugin is an organization called The Source, which is located in Harare, Zimbabwe. We regularly partner with news organizations that are in difficult situations worldwide. And it's a win-win for everyone because we get to test new code, but they also get access to new features and new technology that they wouldn't otherwise have access to. Pointer wrote about this project a couple of weeks ago, and you can look for that up on the Pointer site. One of the other upcoming sites that's going to be using this plugin is Fidelity Investments. And I wanted to speak really quickly about what's next for us. One of the big ones is forward planning. This is being worked on jointly with the Australian Associated Press and NTB of Norway. It basically allows for forward planning inside of a newsroom, which then results in things like reminders to journalists to follow up on a story 60 days after it's been written. This type of thing, as well as calendaring of important events and so on. Another thing that we've been working on recently is a paywall with a human face. This is in cooperation with Taz, the newspaper in Berlin. The idea there is that they're a very sort of left-leaning newspaper, and what they like to do is they like to set up a mechanism for paying it forward so that if there are people who have money, you can actually donate for access for other people who don't have money. So this is something that we're working on that's been supported by a grant from a fund in Europe called the Digital News Initiative, sponsored by Google. You can find more out about us at superdesk.org. Everything Superdesk is there. The plugin is up on GitHub. If you want to go and check that out, the Superdesk WordPress plugin. And you can find more about my organization at sourcefabric.org. Wow, now I've got all this time, so I'm just going to stand in the middle of the room. You thought I was kidding.
All right, any questions?
So how does how does Superdesk work with? I guess better question. Can Superdesk be shared between multiple different news organizations? Can they share access to a single desk?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What you can do is also you can ingest between different Superdesk instances or from any number of different news sources. There's a pretty robust ingest and then an output API as well. Superdesk is written in Python with Flask, but it's also written, it makes extensive use of Elastic search. So yeah, it's pretty cool that way. But in regards to the WordPress integration, I mean, everything is happening through the API. So in the case of the source, those guys didn't have to, they don't have to do anything more than hit publish in Superdesk, and everything happens automatically on their WordPress site. I'm just going to stand here for a little while. Thanks again.
Hello. Before I start, I gave a full 45-minute version of this talk about a month ago at WordCamp Boston. That's going to be online on WordPress.tv really soon if it's not already. And I cut it down way short for this 6 minutes, but I'm going to go fast. Apologies to the stenographer. So hello, my name is Bradley Jacobs. I serve as a lead developer at Boston Globe Media. I cannot find my notes. There we go. As you can see, we have a lot of sites, and all but bostonglobe.com run on WordPress. Boston.com is our largest WordPress site, and it has a lot of traffic. It has a very loyal following. We launched it in 1995. It's been around for over 20 years. So that following has stayed with us for a very long time. We launched Boston.com on WordPress in March of 2016. And in April and May of this year, in an attempt to shut down our legacy CMS, we imported the remaining content from there into WordPress. Unfortunately, no one was really paying attention to the size of the imports. We grew the database by about 40%. We added about 150,000 records to the post table, bringing it to over 550,000 records. In the post meta table, we were now sitting at over 3 million records. As a result, our editorial team's time to publish tanked. In some cases, screens were now taking between 2 and 3 minutes to load. So I was tasked with improving performance. I needed to focus only on those areas that affected editorial's time to publish most, and not be distracted by other slow loading pages. So the most helpful tool was the debug bar WordPress plugin. As you can see, it adds a little button to the admin bar. And when you click on the button, it reveals an overlay with several different sections. The one we care about today is the queries panel, which is what you see in this image here. So it shows the total elapsed time and the total number of queries at the top. Below that, you see every query that was run during the page load, the amount of time it took, and finally, a stack trace. These 3 pieces of information were critical to my investigation. There's just one problem. You can't sort the queries by elapsed time. They show an order of execution. So I wrote this. I basically copied the code for the entire queries panel, from the base debug bar plugin and created a new panel called Queries Plus. All I did was add a dropdown for sorting by elapsed time and execution order. I was really worried about the sunk time that I spent on this, but it turned out to be the most valuable tool that I used and continue to use. And I'm happy to say that I'm currently working with one of the debug bar maintainers to merge this functionality back into the base plugin. To give you a glimpse of my process, after trimming down a number of non-performant queries happening in the admin, I was down to this 9.5-second query. Sorting by elapsed time brought this to light immediately, despite it being the 563rd query being run on the page. According to the stack trace, this was from a custom meta box, meta form. And before we get too deep, I generally do a quick Google search to see on part of the query, just as due diligence to see if other people are having this issue as well, or if they're, someone's written a blog post. And sure enough, there was an existing track ticket for it. So what was the issue? In this case, it was the dropdown in the custom fields meta box. The offending query tries to get all of the unique key values from the post meta table and just give back the first 30. Now, keep in mind, I mentioned earlier that we have over 3 million records in that table. So it was actually scanning the entire table looking for unique keys just to return the first 30. The kicker was that editorial doesn't even use this. Unfortunately, the developers do from time to time for troubleshooting, so we couldn't just disable it on the post type. So there was a patch that was merged from that track ticket that allows us to skip the query from being run entirely and leaving the field to default to an input box. So here's the fix for that. It's very similar to a number of other fixes I made for other places, for other non-performing queries. Basically just short-circuiting it so the query never runs and a different default behavior takes over. Of course, remember to comment your code. Please pay it forward. And that was just one of the many discoveries and fixes I made during this investigation. Our editorial team's ability to publish and our editorial team's ability to publish and publish quickly is paramount. Our homepage edit screen was suffering from many similar issues. It was taking over 90 seconds to load in some cases. Think about that. That's not just 90 seconds of page load time. That page is updated 40 to 50 times a day. That makes 4,500 seconds or 75 minutes. That's over an hour a day. Over the course of a week, we saved them an entire workday's worth of time just for that one page alone. Time to publish is an extremely important metric, and it's up to all of us to safeguard on behalf of our users. Thank you.
Any questions? All right. Thank you so much. Great. All right, next up we have, for our final flash talk of the day, we have Ben Keith from Institute of Nonprofit News to talk to you about useful publisher plugins.
Minor disclaimer, these are all plugins that we have built. So, hi, I'm Ben Keith. News app developer. I spend most of my time working on these and on plugins. I turn away from the mic to cough. Our primary goal is to build tools like Largo, which is our WordPress theme, that can be used to increase overall technical capacity and resolve pain points across our network. We partner with individual organizations to design and produce custom news experiences like data applications and other news apps that help our members really showcase their reporting. As part of that, we write plugins. We have a bunch of plugins. I'm only going to talk about these 6 today. Yeah. So the first one is PIM shortcode. It allows users to responsibly embed iframes using NPR's PIM.js solution without having to get admins to paste in script tags. It supports all the options of PIM if you've used PIM, such as track scroll and cross-domain. You can set custom classes on the embedded iframes so that they can pull right, pull left like you do with images. You can give embeds custom IDs to allow better communication between the child, frame, and the parent. Storytelling tools is a wrapper for the Night Lab storytelling tools. It includes juxtapose, which overlaps 2 images and lets you slide back and forth between the 2 of them to compare. It's great for blink comparison of visual diffs. You know, if the nuclear reactor blew up, this is what the satellite image looks like before and after it blew up. Timeline allows you to pin text, graphics, videos, and embeds to a defined timeline. Great for telling how stories have evolved over time. Story map does the same thing, but across a map instead of time. And SoundSight takes audio and places it in line, turning text into an audio player. Click the button, text plays. And at some point, we'd like to add Gutenberg support to this plugin. No-nonsense Google Analytics is a lightweight plugin to add Google's universal analytics tracking snippet to your site. You can track with multiple tracking codes, set, update, and remove tracking codes through the dashboard or through the REST API. Plugin does not put Google Analytics dashboard in your WordPress dashboard or give you reports on stories. All it does is put tracking on the page. Double-click for WordPress lets you place double-click for publishers add units as widgets in your widget areas. You define some site-wide responsive breakpoints in the admin interface or in your theme so people can't edit them. And then for each ad widget, you can specify different ad unit sizes for that widget for that area. It supports lazy loading if you care about that. Hopefully you do. It's not a front end for the DFP admin. You can still configure ad placements through DFP. I say you can, you have to. You know, these are built to be lightweight and fast and let you use existing tools. Link roundups has 3 functions. You save links with a bookmarklet or through the WordPress admin. Saved links can be displayed through a widget if you want people to see the links you're saving as you save them. Saved links can also be grouped into a link roundup. It's a custom post type. The editor helpfully displays recently saved links in the post editor. Link roundups can be published to display in the normal posts flow, or you can keep them in a separate flow. And once published, roundups can be sent to MailChimp with merge tags. Since this plugin, well, we've used this plugin on MidwestEnergyNews.com. You can see it there. In the slides, in the speaker notes, there are tons of links. There will be a link to the slides at the end of this talk. The super cool ad inserter plugin lets you insert a number of widget areas every so many paragraphs. You know, insert a widget area every 3 paragraphs for the first 3 times. Widget areas are added after paragraphs, and if you don't want a post to have these widget areas added, there's a checkbox to disable that. Widget insertion has a number of hooks and filters that developers can use to do custom markup or to add programmatic content insertion beyond simple widget areas. What are we working on next? We're updating the Largo theme. As part of that, we're pulling out a bunch of functionality from Largo into widgets that anyone can use. Related posts, disclaimers, staff widgets, the ability to put posts in a series, various sorts of term enhancements, and author credentials. Beyond all those plugins, we also maintain the Term Tag Consolidator, which helps you clean up spare terms and categories, reconcile those annoying cases where half your stories are tagged as Jane Smith and half are tagged as Jane Q. Smith. News Quiz Shortcode is a wrapper for Mother Jones's News Quiz JavaScript library that pulls in stuff from Google Docs. Google Analytics popular posts pulls in Google Analytics data to tell you which posts are most popular and includes a widget to display the most popular posts over the last 2 days. Client Hosting Manager is good for agencies that want to restrict clients' permissions. If you don't want to give them permission to delete your users, delete their theme, or if you don't want them to enable strange plugins. We've also built some stuff for other people. We built the Public Media Platform API plugin. Public Media Platform got picked up by NPR. We built the NPR Story API plugin. We worked on MinPost's object sync for Salesforce, which is really cool. And we've worked on Religion News Services Transmissions newsletter plugin. So what do you want to see us build? Get in touch, send an email to labs@inn.org. This is various contact information. And this is additional stuff that you can link. Down here at the bottom, that's these slides. Speaker notes have all sorts of links. Questions, comments, complaints, concerns?
Once and twice. Thank you, Ben. Woo!